on my Isidore site, the first page, the welcome site says this is a flipped classroom. And it says these are the expectations. It's flipped, which means that the lecture material is delivered by the instructor in class will be made available to students outside of class. Students will review the lecture and do guided example problems. Students will be responsible for reviewing the material before coming to class. The only way to hold students accountable for that, make sure they do it, is to do some kind of assessment. And that's my quick check quiz. Class time is reserved for more difficult tasks of problem solving, integrating the material, and then homework problems are started in class with the instructor guiding the students. So this is right on the front page. Now, we went over this the first day of class. Students may or may not remember this. Students may or may not know what those expectations are, especially when frustrations start to get high and the time that they allocate to the class starts to drop. But I keep reminding you of this. I said, this format of the class, this is what your responsibility is. This is what my responsibility is. In a traditional format, the way I used to teach this class, and I've been teaching this class now, I've been at UD for 14 years. I've been teaching this class for about 10 years. So the traditional format is watch what I do. Okay, so I'm standing up here with my laptop. Here's an assignment we're going to work on. Watch what I do. Go ahead and do it. Everybody has their laptops in class. And then, follow along with me. Everybody understand? Yeah. Everybody understand? Okay. And then run it. And then you get the hands going up. Mine doesn't work. Why doesn't this work? I don't understand the first step, going all the way back. So with 40 students in a class, it gets difficult to try and troubleshoot everybody's projects or everybody's assignments when they're trying to follow along. But it's really watch what I do what I do, and then if you can, ask for help. Some students just get so overwhelmed very quickly. There's a lot to cover. I have 75 minutes to do it in a class period. So some students will ride along with me, some are not. Homework then, I would give one project, one homework every class period. So it is do an assignment, program this particular application. And students would get assigned right after class. Students would work on it. A lot of students would come to my office asking for help. They didn't understand the lecture, don't understand what to do. The biggest thing is I don't know where to start. So that was pretty difficult. So I spent a lot of time outside helping students individually. So because of the difficulty in keeping everybody on track, everybody on task, and all the extra work I was doing outside with individual students answering the same question 20 times, I decided to try the flipped classroom. So flipping this class, the classroom or the before class is essentially the work they do at home. So there is a video lecture of what would normally be done in class. Now with this lecture, instead of taking 75 minutes, which would be watch what I do as I'm typing it, go ahead and do it, any questions, so there's a lot of pausing in there. I take that 75 minutes and most of my lectures end up being about 20 minutes in duration. So I take that and all the way through I say, stop the recording now, create this program, create this spreadsheet. And it's all on the screen now. They can type as slow or as fast as they want and get it, make it run, and then start it up and see what the results are supposed to be. Anyway, that's the theory of how this is supposed to work. So watch what I do what I do outside, take that 20 minutes of lecture, and students should still be spending 75 minutes or more on this lecture time if they're doing it properly. Then before class is due, so my class starts this semester, class starts at 4:30. 15 minutes before class time is my deadline. Absolute Isidore deadline, no exceptions, no excuses. So at 4:15 it closes. They have to take a quiz. The quiz is based only on the lecture material. So if they created the project that I asked them to do during the lecture, or if they followed along, they should be able to go right to that Excel spreadsheet or right to that program, put in the numbers, and give me the results back. If they didn't do it, now they're either guessing at it or they are doing trial and error, trying to figure out what the answer is and taking a lot more time. It's mostly based on trying to hold students accountable for doing this lecture. So you do that. Students get 1 hour to take the quiz. You'll see the average time is typically between 15 minutes, 12 minutes to take it. and I treat the quiz as a learning tool. So students get 2 chances to take it. They take it one time. If they missed it, they know which questions they got right, which questions they got wrong. They can go back and watch the video, find the slots, and then come back and retake it. So I use it as a learning tool. Hopefully, they're using it in that format. And then if there was a project that we started in the last class that wasn't finished in class, then their task is to finish it before the next class period. But 15 minutes, so in this semester, 4:15, everything is due, everything closes out. Now, the classroom time is very little lecture. It's usually me talking for just a couple of minutes to say, here are some tips in starting the homework. Go to it. And then students are very quiet in the very beginning, setting things up, and then the buzz starts happening, and then it's, can you help me? I don't understand this. But I'm there getting them started. I'm there helping them with their projects. In the first half of the class, the first half of the semester, most of the homework problems can be finished right there. They can be done in less than 75 minutes. Now, towards the end of the semester, they're longer. So students get a good chunk of it done, and then they just have to clean it up and tweak it before the next class period. So I'm finding that the students are doing better. At least what I see is the quality of their projects, quality of the homeworks coming back is better. All right, so the lectures. My lectures, again, the time that I would spend in class and interacting with students and helping students, that 75 minutes of lecture time is not real long. You know, that 75 minutes time, the average duration of my lectures typically is about 15 minutes long. So 75 minutes, so kind of disheartening to say 75 minutes in the classroom, I'm only actually working for 15 minutes. I don't know. So it's about 15 minutes of lecture time. I can go through it. I'm not interrupted. I'm going straight through, and I keep putting on the video, stop here, create this spreadsheet. Stop here, write this program. See if you get the same answer that I do. And then there are some projects that are a little bit more difficult, some homeworks that I think are a little bit more difficult. So I actually created some videos on those, and those average about 10 minutes. There's a couple more that I added since here. They're about, again, 10 minutes in duration. So if students are going to do a homework, and what I would normally do in the beginning of class, I put a little bit extra help on there if they're not sure how to get started on something a little more difficult. There are some lectures on that. So my total time for this semester is, 6, 7, 8 hours of time, roughly, is the amount of time that I've lectured in this class. So now, what does it take to prepare a lecture? To prepare my videos, I have a lot of things on PowerPoint already set up. So I use that as a basis. It takes me, if my completed lecture is about 15 minutes, it takes me about an hour to prep it, and that assumes that I've already done this, I already have slides. Now I want to go make sure that I have everything I need. I have all of the PowerPoint, all of the Excel, all of the VBA, anything else I need to reference is all ready to go. I kind of do a dry run through it, see how it's going to work out. Then I do my recording. Put on a headset, close the door of my office, and I start talking. I use Camtasia Studio. Camtasia I have it set up to record the screen. So I can flip back and forth between Excel and PowerPoint very easily. I'm just flipping back and forth using Alt-Tab and back and forth. If I get to a point where I said something and it didn't quite sound right to me, the recording keeps going, and I pause for a minute, a couple of seconds, collect my thoughts, and then I start talking again. Or I back up to the previous slide and start talking again. So the 15-minute completed time takes typically about 45 minutes to record. Then I'll go back and take that time and start editing. So all the parts that didn't sound right, I cut out. If I have to enhance the audio, if I have to take, and I realize that I had an error on my slide and I need to make a little patch for it and put it on. So there's all ways to do editing when you're doing Camtasia. So that takes me typically about 4 times the 15 minutes, about an hour to do that editing. Then I run through it one time to make sure it's okay. That takes actual time, about 15 minutes. So the time invested for a 15-minute lecture is typically 3 hours to do a 15-minute lecture. And that's my time. That's the time that I invest to work on this. So it's a lot of upfront time to do it. Now, I'm running the class this time a second time. I already have the lectures prepared. Last semester, I was concentrating on making sure every lecture was up before class time so it was ready for the students. Now the lecture done, I'm just tweaking them. I'm adding a couple of lectures. I'm adding some projects. So my upfront investment time, I'm reaping those rewards at this point. So the Quickcheck Assessments. So this is what kind of, in my mind anyway, holds the students accountable for watching the videos. Again, all my deadlines, 15 minutes before class times. That gives students the opportunity to submit the class and walk over to class and get there on time. So 15 minutes before class is always my deadline. Average is about 5 points per quiz, which means roughly about 5 questions. Typically runs between 3 and 8 questions. There's a 1-hour time limit to do this. It's based on the lecture material, and students get to do it twice. So there's immediate feedback. They submit it, and then they can immediately see which questions they got right and they got wrong. When I first started doing this last semester, I gave them not only what was right or wrong, but I gave them the right answer right away. Students figured that out right away, that they took only a few seconds to take it, got the answers, and then took it again and plugged the answers in. Like, all right, it only took me about 4 weeks to figure that one out. So now the students know which questions are right and wrong, but they don't know what the right answer is. But then when class starts, I go back and change the settings so they can see what the correct answer is. Every student brings their laptop every class because they know if they don't bring it, they're losing out on 75 minutes of personal attention. Once I give the overview of that homework, then I say go to it. And then the first few minutes, it's pretty quiet because they're kind of setting it up. They're reading the example, figuring out what they have to do. And then it starts off with students talking to each other. How do you do this? What's this mean? Or hands start going up, and I start walking around. So my time in class is walking through, helping the students, looking over their shoulder, helping them troubleshoot. I found that overall, the quiz 1, the grade was a little higher on traditional. Quiz 2, 4, and 5 were higher when I was teaching it flipped. The final exam was quite a bit higher, and the overall course average went from a 77% to an 83%. So that's taking into account everything. So I think that this showed that the students overall were doing better. Also, there was, if you look at the quiz averages, if you look at the range, it's quite a bit condensed. Over here, the range went from a 54% to an 84%. Here, the range is only between 71 and 78%. So the students that weren't doing great in the class have now essentially been elevated. So this format seems to be helping the students that need more time, that need more hand-holding. At least that's the way I'm interpreting this data. All right, so now, when I do my videos, there's 2 options for posting videos. One is to post it directly into Isidore. The second is what I do is I post it on YouTube. I have a channel on YouTube. It's a private channel, and I create all of these videos are unlisted. So the only way to get to it is by a direct link. You can't search my videos. The reason I do it on YouTube is I can see the analytics on it. I can get data on it. Now, I understand that Isidore, they're working on the video package to be able to get more analytics on it, but that's not ready yet. So in Isidore, this is what I see. So this was for last semester. This was the entire semester. And this is the number of views of this particular class. You can see that my class is Tuesday, Thursday. Tuesday, Thursday. That's where all the spikes are, right? So students are watching this before class on Tuesday, before class on Thursday is what the spikes. Average of the 34 or so in class, average of 1,875 views. And of this, estimated time watched, about over 11,000 minutes of time watched. So of 4 hours of video that I created, 11,000 minutes of time have been watched on this. 180 minutes gives me 11,000 minutes return on my investment, if you want to look at it that way. This is one particular lecture. This lecture had 77 views. This lecture was, duration was 26 minutes long and had 77 views. So of the 34 students, some students watched it more than one time. This semester of 29 students. 37 students this current semester had 86 views and 937 minutes. So students spent a little bit more time on it this semester than they did last semester. What were things that were helpful? Pausing and replaying, applications, teachers' presence in projects, collaborating with peers, working on projects. What were hindering? Too many or too long videos, okay? So instead of 75 minutes a lecture, it's 20 minutes a lecture and it's still too long, whatever. Can't get immediate feedback if a question arises while watching a video. Well, no, you're watching at 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? You send me an email and next morning I can get it back to you. Lots of other classes, time management, time crunch. Hear that all the time. Too much work. Web browser not showing videos. We did have a problem at the beginning. Here's another challenge. When I first started teaching this class, everybody in class had the same computer. Now students are coming in, some have Macs, some have Windows. Some have Windows 7, Windows 8. Suggestions, solutions to the Quickcheck, right? This was the class that I took it away from them. So they gave them the solutions. Video lectures could be easier. A course should be more than 1 credit, of course. Offer a project only once a week. Projects are time intensive, right? So students are saying it's a lot of time. You can see that students are going to have mixed reaction to this. Next time I do a session like this, I will actually try to teach it in a flipped format where you should have actually watched the video ahead of time, watch the presentation like students would do, and then we come in and just open up for discussion, which is really the way that, the whole theory behind a flipped classroom. So